Hey there, buttercups! Let's talk about Leif Erikson, the legendary Viking explorer who reached the shores of North America nearly 5 centuries before Columbus ever set sail. His story is one of adventure, courage, and discovery, and it changed the course of history in ways few people realize. Leif was born around 970 AD in Iceland, a land of fire and ice, where he grew up surrounded by the tales of Norse gods, epic sagas, and the ever-present sea. He belonged to a family of legendary explorers. His father, Eric the Red, famously founded the first Norse settlements in Greenland. So, if you count Greenland as part of North America, then it really was Eric the Red who discovered America, which he did in the year 982. He named the island Greenland to attract settlers, despite much of it being covered in ice. Leif was called the Lucky, and not without reason. His reputation for good fortune followed him throughout his life, but it was his skill and determination that truly set him apart. His childhood was spent on the wild, windswept shores of Iceland and the icy, unforgiving expanse of Greenland. In these harsh lands, survival demanded not just strength, but also resourcefulness, grit, and a fearless spirit. For Leif, the sea was never a barrier. It was a highway to adventure and opportunity. He learned to read the waves, the stars, and the winds, skills that would one day carry him across the Atlantic. In Viking culture, fame and honor came from daring deeds and bold journeys. Leif's story became one of the most celebrated sagas of all, inspiring generations of explorers and storytellers. He was a skilled navigator, a charismatic leader, and a man shaped by a world that valued bravery, loyalty, and the pursuit of the unknown above all else. Forget the horned helmets. Leif Erikson was a visionary who saw the endless ocean not as a threat, but as a promise of new worlds waiting to be discovered. Leif was the first European to set foot on North American soil, landing in a place he called Vinland. For centuries, this achievement was dismissed as mere legend, a story too fantastic to be true. But as we will see, modern archaeology has uncovered undeniable evidence of his journey, proving that Leif Erikson's voyage was not just a myth, but a remarkable chapter in the real history of exploration. To understand Leif, you need to know his family. His father, Eric the Red, founded Greenland's first European settlement after being exiled from Iceland for murder. Leif's grandfather was also banished from Norway for manslaughter, so exile and exploration ran in the family. Leif grew up in Greenland, surrounded by glaciers and fjords, learning survival and navigation from a young age. His mother, Theodhild, had Irish roots, and his siblings all played roles in the Viking sagas. This was a family always on the edge, seeking new lands out of necessity and ambition. Leif inherited not just a legacy, but the skills and mindset to push boundaries. For him, venturing further west wasn't radical. It was the next step in a family tradition of discovery. The Erikson family turned banishment into opportunity, shaping the course of exploration. Around 1000 AD, Leif sailed to Norway, the heart of the Norse world. On the way, he was blown off course to the Hebrides, where he fathered a son, proof of the Vikings' far-reaching connections. In Norway, Leif entered King Olaf Tryggvason's service and was converted to Christianity. The king tasked Leif with bringing Christianity to Greenland, even to his stubbornly pagan father, Eric the Red. Leif succeeded with his mother, who built Greenland's first church. But Eric refused to abandon the old gods. This family drama reflected a larger cultural shift sweeping the Viking world. Leif became a bridge between pagan warriors and Christian kings. His journey home marked a turning point for Greenland's settlers. Leif's faith and leadership would shape his next great adventure. How did Leif Erikson reach North America? The sagas offer 2 stories. One says a storm blew him off course on his way home from Norway, making his discovery pure luck. The other, more credible version, tells of Leif hearing tales from Bjarni Herjolfsson, who had glimpsed unknown western lands. Leif bought Bjarni's ship, gathered a crew, and set out to find these lands himself. This was no accident. It was a calculated expedition into the unknown. Even his father, Eric, planned to join but stayed behind after a bad omen. Leif's voyage was driven by ambition, curiosity, and the Viking spirit of exploration. He was not just lucky, he was a visionary leader. This journey would change history forever. Following Bjarni's route, Leif and his crew sailed west across the frigid North Atlantic, braving icy winds and unpredictable seas. Eventually they landed on a barren stony shore, Helluland, likely what we know today as Baffin Island. The landscape was harsh and unwelcoming, with little to offer in terms of resources or shelter. Finding nothing useful in Helluland, the explorers pressed on, sailing south along the coast. Soon they reached a land of dense, endless forests, Markland, probably modern-day Labrador. The towering trees and thick woodlands were a stark contrast to the rocky barrens they had just left behind. For Vikings, timber was as valuable as gold, essential for building ships and homes. Markland was a treasure trove, its forests promising resources that were scarce in Greenland. Continuing their journey south, Leif and his crew discovered a lush, mild land. Here, rivers teemed with salmon, and wild grapevines grew along the banks. This was Vinland, a place unlike any they had seen before. Tirka, a trusted crew member, recognized the grapes, excitedly confirming the land's bounty. The presence of wild grapes was a sign of fertility and abundance, something the Norse had never encountered in the north. Leif named this new land Vinland, or Wineland, inspired by the wild grapes. The crew decided to spend the winter there, eager to explore and enjoy the region's mild climate. They built a small settlement, constructing sturdy wooden huts in a green clearing. For the first time, they experienced a climate far gentler than Greenland's harsh winters. The sagas describe Vinland as a place where cattle could graze outdoors all winter, perhaps an exaggeration, but it highlights the dramatic contrast with their icy homeland. The crew gathered timber and grapes, storing supplies and preparing for the return journey. They marveled at the land's richness, collecting what they could to bring back home. Leif had found not just new land, but a land of plenty, a place that promised hope and opportunity for future explorers. Vinland soon became legendary in Norse stories, a symbol of adventure and discovery, inspiring generations of storytellers and explorers. Today, archaeological evidence confirms that the Vikings' brief presence in North America was real, not just a myth or a tale told by the fire. Their journey marked the first known European contact with the continent, centuries before Columbus. Leif's expedition opened a new chapter in world history, setting the stage for future exploration and the enduring legend of Vinland. For centuries, Leif's story was dismissed as legend, until 1960. Norwegian archaeologists Anne Stein and Helga Ingstad searched the Canadian coast, guided by saga descriptions. They found overgrown mounds at Meadows, Newfoundland, resembling Norse ruins. Excavations revealed turf-walled buildings, iron forges, and Viking artifacts, clear evidence of a Norse settlement. Carbon dating matched the time of Leif's voyage. This discovery proved Vikings reached North America 500 years before Columbus. Meadows is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, believed to be Leif's base in Vinland. The site likely served as a staging post for further exploration and resource gathering. The sagas were true. Vikings not only reached America, they lived there, if only briefly. Leif Erikson's legend became historical fact. After his legendary winter in Vinland, where he and his crew braved the unknown and survived in a strange new world, Leif returned to Greenland, never to sail to North America again. The call of home and the responsibilities awaiting him outweighed the lure of further adventure. He became chieftain after his father's death, stepping into a role of great importance and respect among his people. Leif focused on leadership rather than exploration, guiding his community through harsh winters and uncertain times, ensuring their survival in Greenland's unforgiving climate. Inspired by Leif's tales, other Vikings attempted expeditions to Vinland, hoping to find new lands and riches across the sea. But conflicts with indigenous peoples, the vast distances, and the harsh realities of the land doomed these settlements to fail. The memory of Vinland faded from daily life, becoming little more than a distant legend. For centuries, Leif's story survived only in the sagas, passed down through generations as myth and folklore. Leif died around 1025 AD, his achievements largely forgotten outside the Nordic world. For centuries, his story was nearly lost, remembered only in Scandinavia and among a few scholars. In the 19th and 20th centuries, as waves of Nordic immigrants crossed the Atlantic, they revived Leif's legend in America, celebrating their heritage and honoring his adventurous spirit. In 1964, President Lyndon Johnson proclaimed October 9th as Leif Erikson Day, a tribute to Nordic American heritage. and the enduring legacy of exploration. Leif's story reminds us that history is full of surprises, forgotten pioneers, and journeys that change the world in ways we might never expect. He was the true first European in America, beating Columbus by centuries and opening a new chapter in human exploration. Today, Leif the Lucky finally takes his rightful place in history, not as a myth or a forgotten name, but as a true trailblazer whose courage and vision changed the course of history forever.
Thank you for watching. Hope you found this video informative and entertaining. Please subscribe, like, share, and comment. We do like to know and hear your feedback. And if you have the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon, where you can get early access to our videos and where we post bonus material. Till next time, this is Geeky Tidbits saying cheers and have a good day.